What does Sheree and Martell's alleged breakup have to do with Carlos King? Well, I have some new information that may answer that question and more right after this. What's up, kinfolk, and welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, do me a favor and subscribe. And if you already are subscribed, do me a favor and get notified so you'll know whenever I upload new videos to the channel. Alright, kinfolk, come on into the house. We have a lot to talk about, and it centers around rumors that allegedly it is Carlos King who is behind what appears to be a breakup between Martell and Sheree. How is that? Well, I have some new information that may answer that question and more, and here it goes. Rumors are that allegedly what appears to be a breakup between Martell and Sheree may actually be something else caused by Martell and Carlos King. A source said Martell and Sheree appear to have had a solid relationship as early as March. However, things took a dramatic turn when the two seemed to unfollow each other on social media. The source continued, allegedly, Martell has had it with what he calls a forced relationship. However, that is not all entirely true. Martell isn't tired necessarily of having to perform for the cameras in a reality TV show. He is more so tired of being forced to make big decisions, allegedly at the hands of Carlos King. So the question is, what situations are Martell allegedly being placed in and tired of in order to make things right with Carlos and Sheree? Well, an industry insider said, allegedly, Carlos King forced Martell to pick a side of franchises. So Martell chose his bread and butter, Love and Marriage Huntsville. Allegedly, said the insider, Martell had been hammered all year to choose a franchise by Carlos. When he found out that Martell was going to be featured on the new season of Real Housewives of Atlanta, allegedly Carlos was fuming when the news broke and probably thought that his old network was trying to poach his main talent, something Carlos doesn't take lightly, ended the source. Apparently, Martell allegedly did not run this new relationship or possible appearance by Carlos or the Love and Marriage Huntsville producers. Something, said the source, he is almost required to do so, and you can only imagine how blindsided everyone was when the news broke that Martell and Sheree were dating. The source continued, allegedly, Carlos and his team saw a great way they could capitalize off this new relationship, cross-promotion, and even crossover appearances. So they were all in at one point, allegedly, said the source, but all of that changed. And why? Another source said, allegedly, Real Housewives of Atlanta producers were not on board with Sheree appearing on the Love and Marriage Huntsville reality show. The thought of Bravo allegedly not wanting Sheree to appear on their former employee's competing show left Carlos feeling once again betrayed by the team and by the network. And so Martell had to choose either Love and Marriage Huntsville or Real Housewives of Atlanta, resulting in a quick separation from Sheree when, again, Martell ultimately chose Love and Marriage Huntsville. So, kinfolk, with that being said, that was a lot. But when this rumor came across my desk yesterday, I was very intrigued to take a better look at it and a closer look at it with some of my sources. And from what I can tell it does seem there are some parts of this rumor that could actually be factual and some parts of this rumor that could be not so factual. But the first part of this rumor that I absolutely do believe is this. Now, if you are to believe this rumor, because right now it's all alleged information and speculation, that Carlos King made Martell choose a franchise and ultimately choose Sheree or his own franchise, then I could probably see that happening because, one, Carlos is, a businessman when it comes to reality TV. He calls himself the king of reality TV, and in a lot of ways, that is somewhat accurate when it comes to especially black-led reality TV shows. Most of his black-led reality TV shows are very popular, and are big money makers for him and his team. So I could imagine he is very, very protective of his talent, especially being a new upcoming reality TV show production company that has to go up against probably some big networks when it comes to getting things greenlit and getting things okayed and making sure talent has everything they want in order to be able to perform to the best of their abilities. So having to be in that arena for so long as Carlos has, he's probably understood the ins and outs of the business and learned how some other big networks plays probably sneaky games. So I can understand why he would want to fortify his talent with his production company and the network where all of his shows are going, especially if said talent is bringing in a lot of views and a lot of money to his franchise and production company. So a move like that is not so hard to believe. And I could honestly say that it probably is a smart move if it did happen that Carlos kind of became a little bit more protective of his talent, especially if the other network allegedly didn't want to play ball. Now, kinfolk, the next part of this rumor that I could see somewhat as being factual as well is this. I do feel like that Bravo probably does see Carlos as competition, and Real Housewives of Atlanta is in the middle of a rebrand right now. And as you know, they're trying to rebrand the franchise to restore the franchise back to its glory days. So I can see why they probably don't want to take a chance on messing that up. So if you are to believe the rumors that, Carlos allegedly wanted to do like cross appearances with Sheree on Love and Marriage Huntsville, I can see how Bravo probably could have shut that down if that was the case. Because you have two different franchises, two different brands. And so it seems as if Bravo probably is doing the same thing Carlos probably wants to do, and that's protect the nature of the brand and protect the nature of the product at which they are selling. So with that being said, it's kind of understandable how Sheree probably would be protected from appearing or, stopped from appearing on their reality show. And also, I think for the sake of the continuity of storylines. And two, also, Sheree probably would be burnt out from doing that if that was the case, because I think both reality TV shows film kind of simultaneously. So with that being said, I can see why Bravo could be a little protective of Sheree and not necessarily wanting her to do any crossover appearances on another reality TV show with the same type of plot lines, same type of storylines. And that's, of course, also if you are to believe this rumor. Now, I will say this about Sheree and Martell's relationship that I do think reveals that there could be some truth to this rumor, and it's this. There are some elements of Martell and Sheree's relationship that did seem kind of fake or at least scripted. And this was probably due to the point where, or it probably came to the point where, let's say Carlos and his team saw where this could have possibly be a good storyline for them. So it was one point in Sheree and Martell's relationship where it just seems kind of like forced and fake, with the TMZ cameras popping up spontaneously on trail rides, or them getting, caught taking pictures of them, in very pose-like positions and very secluded places. And I think that may have been a time where Carlos probably saw some benefit for him and probably saw some type of, cross promotion to where people are going to be excited now for Real Housewives of Atlanta and also excited about Love and Marriage Huntsville. So I think during that time, one probably could say that if you are to believe this rumor, that this was probably the time where Carlos and his team probably did see some good benefit with Martell dating Sheree publicly and making a spectacle of the whole thing. The way that the relationship was rolled out seemed very forced and kind of fake. But however, I can't deny, once we saw the two on camera and saw them interacting with one another, it did have some elements of a real relationship. Now, also with that being said, I do feel like that at the end of the day, I feel like Sheree and Martell's relationship really wasn't a good match in personalities. So if the two are actually broken up, I don't think that Carlos had pretty much a big hand in it, honestly. There could, if you are to believe the rumors, allegedly been a push from Carlos to Martell. Is like, hey, you have to pick a franchise because you can't spend all your time with Real Housewives of Atlanta and neglect your responsibilities over here at Love and Marriage Huntsville. We need you here and present and producing just as much drama over here as you would over in Atlanta. So with that being said, I can see a slight push being made, but when it comes to making a decision, I don't think Martell and Sheree really are a good match to where Martell probably had to think long and hard about, breaking things off with Sheree. Now, Kinfolk, the last part of this rumor that I could actually see working out is this. Now, Kinfolk, as difficult as the logistics would have been to make this work, I do think a crossover situation would have been a pretty good idea. But unfortunately, I don't see Bravo ever allowing it to happen, especially when they have, again, invested so much into their reboot and rebranding of Real Housewives of Atlanta. Now, yes, it would have presented a logistical nightmare for Sheree and Martell, but I think the continuity in the storylines is what probably would have taken a bigger hit and probably would have been a lot harder for Martell and Sheree to keep going. But however, I do think that there could have been some moments where Sheree could have popped up on Love and Marriage Huntsville and probably could have started up a little drama because, Sheree and Melanie both have very strong personalities. And even though Melanie has said she is done with Martell, does not necessarily mean she is removed from a lot of his drama that he sometimes loops her into when it has nothing to absolutely do with her. So with that being said, it would have been, fun to see Sheree interacting with the Love and Marriage Huntsville cast, and as well as continue to see Martell interact with the men on Real Housewives of Atlanta and some of the ladies in future seasons to come. But again, if you are to believe these rumors, I don't see a major network on or Bravo allowing their top talent to be poached away from them and used for the other network's benefit. But Kinfolk, I want to know, if you are to believe this rumor, do you think that Carlos is the real reason why Martell and Sheree appear to have broken up, or do you think it's simply because Martell and Sheree just wasn't a good match for one another? Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Alright, Kinfolk, as always, if you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, and comment, and I'll see you guys over in the next one. Peace.